Well, we still don't know who this mail bomber is, but an absence of facts will not stop some in the media from playing the blame game. The White House is pushing back tonight against claims that President Trump's rhetoric inspired the attempted bombings. Watch.
The media has a role to play in this process. When 90% of the coverage about this president is negative, despite the historic successes, when the ideas are perpetuated and continued of negativity, that is not helpful for the American discourse. And certainly the president is calling on everyone to come together. And if you have a problem with one another, let's voice that, but let's do so peacefully, and let's do that at the ballot box.
The media isn't the only one pointing fingers. President Trump weighed in with his own theory, tweeting, quote, "A very big part of the anger we see today in our society is caused by the purposely false and inaccurate reporting of the mainstream media that I refer to as fake news. It has gotten so bad and hateful that it is beyond description. Mainstream media must clean up its act fast." You know, there was a time when something this dire would cause both sides to circle the wagons, but now they're just running in circles. So if this is the new normal, where the hell do we go from here? The Hill's media reporter Joe Concha joins me. Welcome back to the show, Joe.
Good to see you, Kennedy.
So it's exhausting because, you know, first you saw the tweet yesterday from Philip Rines, or however you say his name, and the president lumping in with the same sort of heated adjectives after he was calling for a calm and a measured response and for people to be civil and come together. From your perspective, where are we?
We're at a place where everybody's kind of talking past each other and no one's listening, which is basically every day for the past 10 years, right? I mean, we've never been polarized this badly since probably the 60s, and probably you could even go back to the Civil War, I've heard some historians say. But here's the thing. I mean, from a media perspective, and I'll stay in my lane on this one, you know, I felt horrible for the folks over at CNN. I got friends over there. I mean, to be in a building like that and you're just a production assistant, you're a cameraman, or you're on air, and suddenly a bomb may go off in your building. My God, that's horrible. So I don't really take any pleasure in criticizing them right now. But the way they've handled this story, Kennedy, I mean, there are two chyrons. Those are those graphics that are below us right now, these lower thirds, they're called in the industry. Let me read two to you. One was, Trump has no plans to bear any responsibility for inciting serial bomber. That assumes a lot, doesn't it? In other words, this bomber had to be incited by Trump's rhetoric, or else he never would have done this. You're assuming, A, you know the motive of this bomber. And it sounds a lot like Gabby Giffords, where everybody thought that Jared Loughner, the shooter in 2011, everybody thought that he was carrying that out.
Yeah,
Sarah Palin targeting the district.
It's interesting because when Steve Scalise was almost assassinated, and that shooter took aim at several Republicans, Guy Benson retweeted something yesterday that he had written calling for people not to blame Bernie Sanders, because Bernie Sanders had nothing to do with the mentally ill person who went on a murderous rampage and tried to take as many lives as he possibly could. And I think we should reserve judgment here until we know what happened. I mean, it's certainly like everyone is poised in this moment to say, my God, something is so amiss here that we have really lost focus of what it means to passionately have a political discussion and move forward. And I'm not saying that political blame is as bad as someone trying to assassinate former presidents with pipe bombs, but it certainly doesn't help neutralize the situation.
No, it does not. And look, the New York Times on Monday, just one day before the first bomb was sent out to George Soros, it's something that landed in his mailbox, they did a story where they interviewed 5 fictional writers. I don't know if you saw this. And it was talking about how those fictional writers saw the Trump presidency ending. And one ending was a Russian that comes here to assassinate the president. He points a gun at his back. The gun doesn't go off. The Secret Service, one agent, sees this happening, goes over, hands the gun to the Russian to finish the job. He says, go ahead, take mine. The New York Times is writing about fantasizing about assassinating a president. So when you ask me, does the media bear any responsibility here? Hell yes, they do, because people see that crap in the most prominent newspaper in the world, and they say, what the hell is going on? To your point, when you ask me that question, so yeah, President Trump's rhetoric is over the top. Of course it is. But the media is saying a lot more than he is on a daily basis, and it's not just that people mistrust trust this media at this point.
Yeah.
They see it as hostile towards this president and personal.
CNN chief Jeff Zucker really went after the president for this. And Sarah Sanders, was Sarah Sanders right to say you chose to attack and divide?
92% of CNN's coverage of the president is negative, and that's done by several research outfits, whether it be Harvard, whether it be Pew. You could go down the list. How do we get to a point where you have a GDP above 4%, you have unemployment below 4%, you have North Korea no longer lobbing bombs over, at least missiles over Guam and threatening the United States, 98% of the ISIS caliphate destroyed? I'm not cheerleading. I'm saying these are accomplishments.
I was going to say, Corey Lewandowski, is that you?
Yeah, right. I know. It sounds like I am. But the point is, how do you get to 90 that bad when you have at least half of some things in this country going well?
I mean, clearly,
so, yeah, she's exactly
there
right.
are people who are driving the editorial bus who still are sipping on the bitterness of sour grapes when their dreams were crushed on election night in 2016. I feel real bad for you. But at some point, we have to move forward. Joe Concha, thank you so much.